get started and as people come in. So David, thanks again, and I'll let you kick us off.
Yeah. Well, thank you and welcome to our, I guess we're doing this monthly now, so this is our second TATT chat of the year. I'm like, Dean, I can't believe that we're already talking about February anything. And you're right, next week will be Christmas. So appreciate everyone being on here. Thrilled to introduce our speaker today. Many of you know, and so Gail, I know you're on. Help me out with your last name. Is it pronounced Awan?
I think we lost.
We may.
She's coming. She's on her way.
That's okay. Perhaps you can help me, Justine. Do you know, is it pronounced Awan? Awan?
I don't want to commit, I'm afraid.
All right, I like it. Well, we're going to let her tell us. So it does look like she may be on her way. I'll perhaps just go ahead with the introduction, tell you a little bit about Gail. Dr. Gail Wilson Awan. She is the president and CEO of the Urban League of the Upstate. Many of you guys know that the Urban League is a nonprofit organization that provides education, employment, housing services for the economically challenged across a lot of our upstate communities. So it's some really good work that's being done there. Gail started in the fall. She's replacing Reverend Sean Dogan, who was the interim CEO for over 2 years. You guys also may know that the Urban League of the Upstate is celebrating their 50th year of service this year. And for those of you who don't know a lot about the Urban League, they are currently featured in our Upstate Vibe 360, the electronic communication that tells what's going on around the Upstate. It's a 10 at the top initiative. Should be in your inbox from earlier this morning. So take a look at that and pay particular attention to the write-up on the Urban League. 10 at the top in the Urban League of the Upstate, they're partnering for twice monthly Upstate Connect sessions throughout 2022. The session tomorrow on Black History Month is currently full, but I think that's a testament to the popularity of these Connect sessions that have been going on the Fridays. So, and then Urban League is hosting a 50th anniversary celebration gala on February 17th. I know Gail will want to tell us a little bit about that, but if she is on, and it looks like she is, hey Gail, I'll turn it over to her to tell us a little bit about what she's been up to in the last few months.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I really have enjoyed the opportunity to spend time with Dean and the 10 at the top. I attended the grant award event that you had and saw just so many incredible ideas for community building. So when Dean came to me and said, hey, maybe we can do these sort of conversations together, I thought that was a wonderful idea, because we are indeed the Urban League of the Upstate. And I know some folks I know on here, but I'm looking forward to meeting more of the community. I have been here, it'll be exactly 6 months next week. So this is great. So I know that a lot of folks know the Urban League, familiar with some of our programs, but this being, of course, Black History Month and the 50th anniversary of the Urban League of the Upstate, it's a great opportunity for me to just share maybe a little bit more about the organization itself, the national organization, and then how that translates, what that work really means for us here on the ground. So just kind of a little synopsis about the Urban League movement and of course the Urban League of the Upstate. And I'd be very curious and interested in hearing from you all about some of your experiences with the Urban League throughout our 50-year history. Okay, next slide. So the mission of the National Urban League, it's there, I'm not going to read it all, but I do want to focus in specifically on this last half here, where it says the League promotes economic empowerment through education, job training, housing, community development, workforce development, entrepreneurship, health, and quality of life. So when you really just even reflect on the mission of the organization and what 10 at the top is all about for our region, there's so many intersections, so many places that we align. And I think that's one of the unique things about the Urban League as an organization. Certainly, our primary concern historically and always has been the needs of the Black community, addressing the needs of the Black community as they are impacted in each one of these areas. And as we say, other underrepresented individuals, right? So we know throughout our region, throughout the Upstate, without South Carolina, you know, there are, you can be in the city and then you go just a few miles out in one direction or the other, right? And the population is very, very different, and the needs of our communities are very different. You know, we talk about quality of education in our rural communities, access to broadband, careers, job trainings. So again, it's just another way that we, the Urban League and the National Urban League movement, certainly aligns with our work here. Next slide. Okay, so Urban League, right? It says right in the name, right, that it's an urban focus. So the history, of course, of that, we have to go all the way back to the Great Migration. And if you look at this particular map, it shows this sort of period of time when African Americans were leaving sort of these orange states and where they were migrating and why they were leaving. So we know certainly as a result of Jim Crow, after Reconstruction, all the things that were happening within Black communities and for African Americans at that time, people were looking not just for opportunities and a better quality of life for themselves and for their families, but of course, you know, in many cases, it was simply like a life or death decision. So when you look at the southern states, specifically the Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, that group of southern states that goes all the way up the eastern coast there, up through New York. So the Urban League headquarters, right, is in New York. That's where the Urban League started. So the primary folks that the Urban League was representing at that time were folks from, okay, the Florida, the North Carolina, South Carolina, from our particular region. We have Urban League affiliates across the country now, but it's very important, I think, to acknowledge the relationship between South Carolina and the National Urban League movement. So, you know, I like to think of it as kind of the same experience or very similar experience. Once a family would put all of their things, either try to get on a train or everybody get in a car and just leave, literally just leave your house or your home and your family and sort of do this migration up north. The experience, right, of coming from rural South Carolina all of a sudden to this industrial large city was daunting and overwhelming. There were certainly, you know, the promise of jobs and opportunities of labor was needed, and there was a tremendous amount of sort of recruiting for jobs, but socially, the lifestyle was very different. So if we go to the next slide. So the Urban League, much like the settlement houses on the Lower East Side of New York, right? The settlement houses, the Urban League was started by primarily social workers, okay? There were two benefactors, Ruth Standish Baldwin and George Edmund Haynes, okay? And they were social workers, and the whole concept was, wow, all of these people now are migrating here to the north, right, to New York. How do we help them transition, again, find a place to live, find how to get around the city? So there's a very deep connection between social work, the field of social work, and African Americans, primarily men, Black men, that became social workers through college. So a lot of women, not a lot, but many women would go into education, and the Urban League was started by a social worker. And many of our executive directors, national presidents have come from the social work field. And there was also this tremendous alignment between white social workers and African-American social workers in urban cities at that time, because they were banding together, right, to try to create the profession and professionalize the field of social work. So that was another intersection. They wanted social workers, needed and wanted to be seen as part of the professional community. So there was lots of synergy and lots of collaboration from that point alone. So there is, folks that are in the social work field, they certainly are trained in this, they study this history, and it's very interesting. Next. So, jobs. Finding a place to live, building community. Right? The Urban League offices were set up in our northern cities, and the concept was always, for the Urban League, was always about, we're not looking for, right, alms, as it says here, but opportunity. How do we get training? How do we become ready for these jobs? And whether they were on the rail lines, you know, as porters, whether they were in factories. So, and of course, also a strong support for the military and national defense. These are some of the areas that the Urban League historically helped African Americans to enter and to be prepared for as part of this Great Migration. So, great Urban League executive directors, national presidents. So the Urban League is considered one of the iconic, sort of the big five civil rights organizations. And each one of the civil rights organizations and leaders had a very specific niche and an audience, and how they all worked together to sort of improve conditions. So Whitney M. Young Jr. is very clear in many of his speeches, and he says, so for example, Martin Luther King Jr., you know, he worked with the Southern churches. That was his strategy, his way for moving the civil rights movement forward. Historically, the NAACP represented almost the legal arm, right? There were sort of lawyers and advocating for people and legal rights. The Urban League's focus always was on sort of collaborations within the business community at the highest level, and the political community. So Whitney M. Young said very early that in order to change the system, right, we have to be able to work within the system. He said that at the Urban League, our strategy, that we use strategy and intellect to go about our work. So Whitney M. Young Jr., again, he worked with so many major corporate leaders, whether it was General Electric, some of the producers of like food items, the bread producers, all of those folks, to really not just hire Black workers, but to change policy and sort of corporate policy. So there you see, there's certainly pictures of Whitney Young, Martin Luther King Jr., and it was always a bipartisan initiative and approach. That's the history of the Urban League. That's the backbone of the Urban League. So it really is about this systems change and working together, because we know that when the systems work for everyone, then everyone truly does benefit. When we talk about even now, translated even now, when we talk about issues of workplace development, right? We want to attract a business. That means we all need to be part of this conversation about having a ready workforce. And what does that mean in education and access? So I do love this quote. A lot of people, of course, they know Martin Luther King and some of the other great leaders, or they're familiar with Malcolm X, and maybe they're not as familiar with Whitney Young, but certainly Whitney Young was one of the speakers at the March on Washington. He did come before Dr. King in that lineup of speeches, before Dr. King did that beautiful I Have a Dream speech. But Whitney Young was very clear. He said, I am not anxious to be the loudest voice or the most popular, but I'd like to think that at a critical moment, I was an effective voice for the voiceless. So how do we be more effective? I personally believe that the Urban League of the Upstate's participation, support of conversations like and organizations like 10 at the Top is what makes us effective, right? It is about building community and those partnerships. Next slide. So this is kind of a little summary of the National Urban League movement. So let's bring that now a little closer to home. So Vernon Jordan, who you saw in the other slide, in 1972, right, that is when the Urban League of the Upstate was formed as an affiliate. There are 90 affiliates, Urban League affiliates. And there are 3 Urban League affiliates here in South Carolina. Source, there's the Upstate, and then the Columbia, the Midlands, and then in Charleston. So we have 3 Urban League affiliates here. So there are certain parameters in order to become an Urban League affiliate. So it was through a group of civil rights leaders here in the Upstate, ministers. They met at the Springfield Baptist Church. Those of you that might be attending tomorrow, you will get to hear from Pastor Corbett, who certainly is going to talk about the history of Springfield Baptist Church downtown and its role in the civil rights movement and forming organizations like the Urban League. So when the Urban League, when it was decided in 1972, wow, Greenville could really benefit from an Urban League. Now, I want to pause a moment and say, so this is 1972. But what made Greenville ready or interested in this particular time of being a place for the Urban League? Now, it's interesting as I'm learning the organization and sort of looking through all the archives, and certainly I know some of you may already know this information, but before 1972, you have to wind this conversation in Greenville all the way back to 1949. Does anybody know where I'm going here? If you are, just sort of wave your hand. 1949. In 1949, there was a study done by Furman University, and this study was specifically to look at the disparities between the Black community and the white community in Greenville. 1949, they got together a group of community members to analyze what was happening in 1949. And so in 1949 and 1950, they looked at the community, they surveyed the community, and they came up with recommendations of what would make Greenville a better place for African Americans. And the name of this study was Greenville's Big Idea. Okay. Greenville's Big Idea was a research-based study. Now, so you have to understand, so this sort of concept of the needs of the Black community, disparities, what's happened a long time ago. Those, I believe, are some of the seeds, some of the people, the individuals that kept pushing this sort of agenda forward. So now the Urban League begins, and I saw something in the chat. Right after so Vernon Jordan, the executive director of the National Urban League, came down to Greenville to give the Urban League their provisional status. While Vernon Jordan was here, he made several trips to Columbia. A few times he came down, he spoke before Congress, again around workforce development. So there was a very, very close historic relationship between the National Urban League and, at the time, it was called the Greenville Urban League. Shortly after the Urban League was formed and operating, and this gets to what someone just said in the chat, one of our board members at the early time came across this study at Furman University from 1949. And this was in 1985 and 86. Okay, so in 1985, they unearthed this study, Greenville's Big Idea, and they looked at those recommendations. And what they found out is that 60 of those recommendations that were made in 1949 had actually been acted upon. So this group back in 1985 said, wow, maybe we should do another self-study of Greenville. And yet let's look at these results from the study from 1949 and 1950, and let's compare that to where we are now in 1985 and 1986. So they divided up into categories: health, economic mobility, education, workforce development. They had very key areas, and they sent out thousands of surveys in the mail to ask people what they thought and how was it, and what recommendations they would have. In fact, I was reading the study, and the part on workforce development, the chair of that committee in 1985 was Merle Code, who was serving as our board, I think he might have been our board chair at that time, but it was just great to read all of these names. So they made these recommendations, and the name of this stealth study was called Greenville's Big Idea Comes of Age. And they received funding from the Community Foundation, and this study was published. And it had all of these recommendations. So again, I think that's very unique, and I think it's very significant. This type of self-study became truly a model for the state and for the South, right? It was very unique that this kind of introspective look on the Black community was happening. So that initial study, the results of that study is what really helped create and align the programs that the Urban League began to offer. Many of you know, of course, some of the early workforce development, the partnerships, the career days, where they would have, folks. I remember seeing one picture in our archives at the Greenville. It was at the convention center, where corporations from the Upstate would set up, and the Urban League would host these sort of job fairs. And this sort of continued to define our programs. And I'll talk a little bit about our signature programs in just a minute. But fast forward, I think it was 2001, in a partnership with Verizon, right? A workforce development program with Verizon. The Urban League was training individuals for these jobs. 2001, the starting salary, the minimum starting salary was $12 an hour. Right? That's very, very significant. You see that was tremendous advocacy for really sort of leveling the playing field and creating economic mobility. So some of our signature programs today, and I just want to address, we still, of course, focus on education and youth development, jobs, entrepreneurship, and business development, housing and community development, which we talked about at one of our last 10 at the top presentations, health and the quality of life. So you have to really, for me, and I think most folks will agree, it's all about the leadership. And the Urban League has been incredibly fortunate to have so many really dedicated leaders from all public and private sectors invested in the organization. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So this is just, I found this in one of our 30th anniversary program books. But over the past 50 years, always, there were 3 mayors represented. There were, like, you'll see there, the Chamber of Commerce, always at the table, really advocating for the National Urban League movement and the mission of the Urban League. And there's a couple of quotes I had selected. There were just so many, but folks really talk about programs that provide direct services. That's what we do, boots on the ground in the community. That how, because of the partnerships and the work of the Urban League, again, how the whole community benefits. I love this Max Heller quote: Greenville benefits from your efforts to improve education, employment. And then there were several quotes from Dick Riley, again, about the commitment to mankind, right? That's really what this work is about. And it was certainly in our archives, folks from the Urban League at the time went with Dick Riley to the Martin Luther King Jr. Center when he was honored by Loretta Scott King for helping to make King Day a holiday here. So it's all about leadership, and it continues to be. And so at this particular time, I want to again just give some little updates on some of our current work. Let's see. So we're founded in 1992. Our annual operating budget now is about 1.6 million. We have 11 FTEs, 11 staff members. We started in 72, but it was about in 1991. We changed the name from the Greenville Urban League to the Urban League of the Upstate, and we had very robust programming in Spartanburg. We have just this year reopened an office in Spartanburg and are partnering with Spartanburg Housing Authority to do some work there. We are one of the few HUD certified organizations, so we can provide housing counseling for first-time home buyers. I've recently had some conversations with some of our developers in the area that are addressing the issues of affordable housing, right? We know that if you're going to do affordable housing, for that broad range, folks that are maybe earning 25,000 up to 50,000, right? The supports, again, going all the way back to the very early mission of the Urban League, you've got to have support and resources for folks at every level. And affordable housing, again, means affordable at every income level. One of the groups we are so proud of is the Urban League Young Professionals. Our young professionals are here, they are, I know one, for example, she actually went to school here. She was from the Low Country area, decided to move here. This is a young lady in her early to mid 20s, has purchased her first home here in Greenville, has started her business here in Greenville. Individuals like that sort of come together as part of our young professionals community. And we have young professionals that are also currently at Clemson. So by getting all these sort of young professionals is the 25, I think it's 21 to 39. That's the age group for the young professionals movement. So we're trying to really actively recruit more young professionals. Yesterday, the young professionals were at our office for Black History Month. Well, for Martin Luther King Day, they collected and purchased Black History books and education materials, and all this month and yesterday they started really packaging those, and they're going to be distributing them throughout the community, throughout the Upstate. So our mission has not changed. The needs are the same, a little different. The approach and the strategy is a little different, and that's why the partnerships and the leadership is so critically important. Last slide, please. And so that brings us up to literally next week at this time. I'm so excited that we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary at the Convention Center. We will certainly, our scholarship winners will be announced. We have 6 scholarship winners, and we will be honoring for the Whitney M. Young Jr. Humanitarian of the Year Award. This year will be going to Pastor Sean Dogan and family. We will also be honoring Summit Media with the Corporate Partner Award. And we have, for the President's Award, we're going to be honoring the Jolly Foundation, the Community Foundation, and the Hollingsworth Foundation. These 3 foundations, during our transition time, from interim to the whole search, they continue to invest in our work so the programs can continue. So certainly I would like to invite everyone to join us next week. Oh, I want to say one last thing here. Yeah, so in keeping with workforce development, I think I shared this at our last call, but some of you might remember reading about No Restrictions Entertainment. That's the LA film company that has relocated to Greenville and is going to be doing feature films here. So the Urban League actually has a 5-year MOU with No Restrictions, where we are going to help provide them with workers, right? That's small businesses, that's caterers, that's beauticians, electricians, all those behind the scenes businesses, right, that need to help what I believe is going to be a growing film industry. So the director, Mr. Edward M. Bravo, is going to be our keynote speaker at our gala next week. And he is going to talk about his journey. He is a Latino gentleman. He's going to talk about his journey becoming a film director and producer in LA, and the work that he hopes to do here in Greenville and the partnership with the Urban League. So again, it's workforce development, creating opportunity, empowering communities, and changing lives. So thank you all for this opportunity.
Dean, I believe you're muted.
Hard to talk when you're muted, right, David? Thank you, Gail. And if anyone has any comments or questions in the chat, again, Lena has put in the article from earlier in our e-newsletter that Gail wrote about the history of the Urban League, and just fascinating information. David, any questions or comments before we let Gail go?
No, just thank you so much. That was fascinating. I think the historical, I guess, position of the Springfield Baptist Church is such a neat one for even people who've only been around Greenville for a little while. It's just, you know, part of the landscape here in downtown, and I think that's fantastic to hear about. And I look forward to hearing more. And good luck with the at the expo with your celebration.
Thank you so much. I see some of the folks on here. I just want to shout out to Minor Shaw. Thanks, Minor. She was actually part of the search committee for the process that I was in. So really happy for your support. And Stan, You did so much work before I came in helping the Urban League put together this a strategic plan, you know, so we had so much to work with, and we are excited about continuing our journey with you all. Thank you all.
As Gail mentioned, tomorrow we have our next Upstate Connect together. It's, you know, we're at our number, but if one or two more people showed up, we probably would not turn you away. It will be from 9 to 10:15 here at the Park 37 complex. So we're looking forward to this month talking about, in this particular one, Black History. And then on the 25th of this month, we will be in Anderson at the Western Upstate Association of Realtors, looking at real estate and development and trends in those areas. So a couple sessions coming up, and as Gail said, really excited to have that partnership. And Lena has put those events in the chat. So with that, Justine, I'll turn it over to you to introduce our resource speakers.
I had my finger on the button for the event, so you've got two links in the chat, 2 opportunities. Today, I have the honor of introducing our resource updates. First, we will hear from Susan Anderson from Anderson Interfaith Ministries, and following will be Terry Gilstrap from Anderson County Economic Development. We're featuring Anderson this month. So let's have Susan up first.
Okay, here we go. First off, I'd like to say I'm not Jordan Evans as it's showing up in the box there. He had to leave unexpectedly. We understand COVID is around us all the time, but I'm certainly happy to jump in and speak for AIM. I'm the Vice President of Development. Of course, we all know what the development covers, but I did want to share the 5 different programs that we have and our mission and a few other things. I know this is a brief overview. We are, our mission is connecting people with support and resources and education so that they can empower themselves to become self-sufficient. We have been around for 32 years. We have the same executive director who started our organization, and we're very proud of that. We just celebrated our 30 years last year, 1 year passed just because of COVID, but our 5 programs consist of pivotal support, which we help folks with their rent and utilities. And we were approached by Anderson County last March when our county was given the $6.1 million for the COVID relief funds. To date, we have dispersed $3.4 million to folks to help them with rent and utilities. We've helped over 690 families, so we're certainly proud of that program. We have a Hunger Ministries program that has been in existence since the beginning of AIM. Because of COVID, we did have to change the way we used our distribution to folks. We created an outdoor drive-through facility to remain safe and be able to put food in folks' cars and limit our contact with them. In the past, they were coming into our main building, sitting shoulder to shoulder, and sometimes it took 3 hours to get people through the system. Now we scan their licenses, and we found out it's just been so much more efficient. We have an outdoor building where we stock our food supplies the day before. So that's a bright and shining silver lining to COVID for us, and we're certainly proud of the way we've been able to do that. We serve over 500 families a month, Monday through Friday, at least 35 plus families a day. So, that's been our, main mission from the get-go. We have a women and children's program where we help mothers who are single mothers that is, that are trying to go to school and work, and we assist them with daycare, gas cards, a mentor to go walk with them through their journey. They also have a savings program, and we do a match program with them, and at the end of their 2 to 4 years, they could have saved up to $6,000. So we're super proud of that. That could be a down payment on a car, pay off a student loan, work on a down payment of a home. So, very proud of that program, and that's been around for almost 30 years. And we've also had three different women get their PhDs. One of our ladies came to us, it's years ago, and she came to us homeless. She's now the director of grants at Tri-County Tech, and she is their, she has her PhD. So, you know, we're seeing generational changes in their children too, because one of her children went on and got the Bill Gates scholarship. And so super proud of that program and the changes that we're making. We also have a housing rehabilitation program where elderly folks that are in their home and they need minor repairs, maybe it's their roof, their HVAC, Duke Energy partners with us with weatherization, and we're able to replace refrigerators, you know, fix roofs, HVACs, that type of thing, because, you know, when they're elderly, their home is their biggest asset, and we want to keep them there and do what we can. Maybe it's, you know, they need a wheelchair ramp, things like that. So we're able to do that. And we partner with South Carolina State Housing with funds for that program also. We have a new program, or I say newer program, that we've partnered with the United Way here in Anderson County. And we have a financial stability center, and we help with the VITA program, which is the volunteer income tax assistance. So that's, you can imagine, up and running right now, because a lot of elderly folks and lower economic folks just don't know how to apply or help with their taxes. So we have people that go out remotely through Anderson County and help folks with that. And that's been a tremendous program. And, you know, a lot of folks just don't realize they have a, you know, something coming back. They don't know how to do this. They don't have access to a computer. They don't have someone that'll spend the time with them and educate them on how to do this. And then we have our AmeriCorps program, which we were really excited about. We're going to be able to bring 10 folks on our campus, and we're interviewing right now for those positions. So if you know of anyone that's looking to get involved with a nonprofit, it's a wonderful program. Like I said, 32 years going strong. I feel so proud of the things that we've done in the past 2 years, because COVID has been, you know, of course, given everybody their challenges. I direct you to our website, which is www.aincharity.org. All of our programs are there, our events that we do. We're currently looking for more sponsors for the year. So if you know of a business that's interested in getting involved that way, the third Wednesday of every month, we do tours. So, you know, seeing is believing. I always believe like we own our buildings. If you come see what we've got going on here, you're convinced, you know, it's a good program. And then we do have a ribbon cutting on March 16th. We've added some more offices. We were, as I say, office poor, and we have been able to add more offices to our campus. And we're going to showcase that and thank all of the different partners we have in Anderson that have assisted us in that journey. So thank you again. Sorry, Jordan wasn't here. He is the VP of programs, and he runs all of those, but we all work together. We're a great team, and anybody's always willing to pitch in and help each other. So thank you again for your time. And I certainly look forward to anybody's questions or comments.
So much. Please let him know we're thinking about him.
Oh, yeah.
Stepping in. If you would like to put a link to the website or any additional links into the chat, feel free so people can click right
I'll do it.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Yes.
And let's hear from Terry Gill-Strap, what's going on with economic development in Anderson County. I've got some slides for you that I'll share, Terry. So you just tell me when you'd like me to move along.
Okay. Anderson County Economic Development, many of you probably know this, but I just wanted to touch on the fact that our role with Anderson County is to provide outreach and entice new companies to come into Anderson County, or help existing companies expand in Anderson County. And I've put some statistics on the screen. Any of these materials that I'm throwing up here, we have copies of. This is really kind of a 2-page. I just splashed it. Some exciting info about Anderson County that we can share with others. Our main focus is to talk about, as many of you have heard now, is the availability of workforce. We've got 90,000 plus individuals in Anderson County that are ready to be employees. We have 5 school districts. Of those 5 school districts, every graduation, we have about 2,000 students that come out and are ready to actually look for work. And many of them, about 40% of them in the past, have gone to 2 or 4 year education. So we are gearing up right now. When we talk about things that are coming, we're gearing up right now to work with all of our high schools, and we provide an opportunity for employers to get into the high schools, meet the students. With COVID, we've had to change some things. We used to bring all the students together at Anderson University for an event, but over the past couple of years, we've had to rethink that, and we're now taking the employers to the students and providing those students with workshops and things along with some of our community partners. And we make sure that they know how to present themselves, fill out applications, anything else that we can help them with. We also help them in identifying some things they may like or not like to do. And we have opportunities for them to actually do some work-based learning projects and some things like that. So if any of you know any students that are looking for work, or anyone looking for work in Anderson County, then please send them my way, because we want to make sure that everybody that wants to go to work has an opportunity. And we've got plenty of opportunities in Anderson County. We also, next slide, please. We have had a very successful year for 2021. We had 7 recruitments of new industry. We had 5 expansions, and for a total of 12 announcements for the year of 2021. That was 1,100 jobs, $650+ million in capital investment. And that calculates to $49 million in new annual payroll. And so we are very blessed in Anderson County, and there's a lot of opportunities in Anderson County. And one of the things, if you'll go to the next slide, please. One of the things that we've done over the past 5 to 6 years is we've created a program that is a public-private 501c3 nonprofit economic development organization. And the DCAC is what we call it, but it's the Development Corporation of Anderson County. And it was organized to engage in community activities that promote and support economic development activities in Anderson County. And just to kind of let you know some of the exciting things that has brought to us, it allows us to offer our manufacturers in Anderson County, and we have over 200 manufacturers, but it gives them an opportunity to join us 4 times a year, and it's for free. We don't charge the manufacturers. If you're not a manufacturer, if you're a community organization or another type industry, then we would welcome you to reach out to us, because there are ways you could join. But we have the Development Corporation of Anderson County, and if you'll jump one more slide, that those 4 times a year we focus on events that are benefits and resources to our manufacturing environment, but also we focus on education and celebrate some of the successes of our manufacturing. Our community, and I hope Terrence Roberts is still on here, is the city of Anderson and Anderson County has a wonderful organization, the Sister City organization, and they have just knocked it out of the park with a program that has focused not just one event, but a quarter of events, 3 whole months of events celebrating Germany. And we call that the German Fest. And our Anderson County Manufacturing Alliance would like to celebrate our German industries. And on March 11th, we'll be bringing Suzanne Dickerson with Fraunhofer, which has a German base, and some wonderful things that we've learned from that manufacturing environment. Suzanne's going to be coming and meeting with our local manufacturers to talk about this program, and we're going to celebrate along with Sister City, and the Upstate Alliance has joined us with this, and we are going to celebrate Germany and along with the German Fest, as well as our manufacturers for this event on March 11th. One more slide. the last thing I'd like to share with you is a program that Anderson County is just getting started. We have had a goal within an organization that we have, a Workforce Development Collaborative, which includes AIM, which includes a lot of local entities. I know I saw some others that may be part of that. I know Dean's been to a lot of our events, but we have a collaborative in our community that anybody who receives state, federal, or local funding, they have an opportunity to come together and we talk about what the needs are in our community as it comes to workforce development. And our goal is to avoid duplication, to support each other, to talk about events. We tour facilities. We let them know that what skills employers are looking for, what barriers they're seeing, and anything that we can do to help those citizens of Anderson County become gainfully employed. And our goal is for them to become self-sufficient. So Anderson County Council allowed us to have a pilot project that we're calling Anderson County Rides, and we're working with Uber, and we'll provide citizens of Anderson County, if they go to work within Anderson County in certain manufacturing areas, there's also some guidelines, because once again, we want them to go to work, and we know that there's manufacturing opportunities there that pay close to our county average wage of $21.73, which is our new county wage average. But our goal is to help them secure employment in that area, and we're offering them transportation assistance for a period of time to get them started into those opportunities. And once again, it's with Uber. And we have some other opportunities in the community that you'll be hearing about soon. But this Anderson County Rides program will be a pilot program, and we want to prove to Anderson County Council that is a good return on their investment. So you'll be hearing about some more collaboration among this project soon. And we just hope if any of you have any questions, you'll let us know. But if you have any questions, please reach out to me. And I thank Dean and his staff for allowing us to be part of this today.
Thank you so much. It's always so great to be in Anderson, and that combination of historic and modern, and hear how you're growing and developing. So thanks for sharing all of that. Does anyone have any questions for Terry or for Susan? All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up in honor of former Mayor Roberts from Anderson. We started with our resource update highlight on Anderson today, and then we'll continue. So next TATT Chat next month will be Cherokee County. So make sure to join us then. David?
I don't have any further comments. I want to thank everyone again for joining us for these TATT Chats. They're fantastic. It's so great to hear what's going on across the Upstate. Dean, if you don't have any further to add, we'll close it out, and look forward to seeing you guys, if not before. We'll see you at the next TATT Chat. And Gail, thank you so much for being our featured speaker today. Congratulations on your role. Good luck with your celebration, and happy Black History Month to everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.